building post-Brexit Britain. Chancellor vows to chart a new future for UK with huge investment, fuel duty freeze, and pay hike to £7.50 an hour for just managing worker. Philip Hammond vowed to chart a new future for post-Brexit Britain today with huge investment in infrastructure, a pay rise for the poorest workers and cuts to housing costs for millions of struggling families. Delivering his first fiscal package since the historic EU referendum vote, the Chancellor insisted the government understands the fury of those who have not shared in the wealth generated by the economy. He announced a series of crowd-pleasing measures to help just about managing families, tagged the jams, including freezing fuel duty and keeping tax thresholds rising. Mr. Hammond said the UK economy had confounded commentators around the world by thriving after the historic EU referendum result, and the country would now chart a new future. But he warned that the coming challenges made it more urgent than ever to tackle long-term economic issues and chronic low levels of productivity in industry. The Independent Office for Budget Responsibility (OBR) has sharply downgraded growth forecasts for the next few years, blaming lower investment and consumer demand due to uncertainty. Mr. Hammond said national debt would now reach 90.2% of GDP in 2017-18, a level that predecessor George Osborne previously described as causing serious damage to the economy. He insisted the resulting hole in the finances, adding up to an extra £122 billion of government borrowing by 2020-21, meant it was necessary to tear up the rules on tackling the deficit. It will now only be eradicated as soon as practicable. While the OBR is clear that it cannot predict the deal the UK will strike with the EU, its current view is that the referendum decision means that potential growth over the forecast period is 2.4 percentage points lower than would otherwise have been the case, Mr. Hammond said. Deep welfare curbs proposed by Mr. Osborne, who was in the chamber for the statement today, are being rolled back to avoid taking £1 billion away from workers on low incomes, and there will be a 30p per hour rise in the living wage to £7.50. A new National Productivity Investment Fund will deploy £23 billion in an all-out drive to boost productivity, which has been lagging behind other major nations. Mr. Hammond insisted the Brexit vote was an opportunity to chart a new future for our country. That decision will change the course of Britain's history. It has thrown into sharp relief the fundamental strengths of the British economy, which will ensure our future success, the global reach of our services industries, the strength of our science and high-tech manufacturing base, and the cutting-edge British businesses that are not leading the world in disruptive technologies, he said. But it's a decision that also makes more urgent than ever the need to tackle our economy's long-term weaknesses, like the productivity gap, the housing challenge, and the damaging imbalance in economic growth and prosperity across our country. Apart from spending on infrastructure such as roads and broadband, the overall package is expected to be fiscally neutral. As a result, the gains for some are being offset with revenue-rising moves elsewhere. In a controversial move, letting agents are being banned from imposing charges, averaging around £340 each, on young people and families seeking to rent a home. Officials say the upfront fees, which are charged in addition to deposits and demands for the advance payment of rent, make life hard for the lower-paid students. But landlords have condemned the unworkable plans, warning they will have a boomerang effect.